let me ask you something. Are you actually staying informed about what's going on in the world, or are you becoming dysregulated by it? Because there is a difference between knowing what's
Mhm.
happening and having your nervous system constantly reacting to what's happening. And tonight we're going to talk about what happens when the world feels increasingly uncertain and how we stay grounded without checking out. Welcome to Regulate and Rise, where regulation is the path to liberation. I'm Lianna Gardner, founder of the Emancipation Frequency.
And I'm Tracy Anderson, founder of Ruha Rising.
So let's talk about the sheer amount of information that we're exposed to now. We wake up, and before our feet hit the floor, we can know what's happening across the country, the planet, in politics, in the economy, in wars and conflicts, with AI, with
Mhm.
people's personal lives, and in everyone else's opinions about it. And there's always another notification. Bing, bing, bing. Another breaking story, another prediction, another reason that we're supposed to be worried. And I'll bring up the question, at what point does staying informed stop being awareness and start becoming nervous system dysregulation? Because maybe we're not actually checking the news because we need more information. Maybe sometimes we're checking because we need certainty. And we keep scrolling because the next piece of information might finally make us feel safe.
Mhm.
So, Tracy, what happens to us somatically when we're constantly consuming information that our nervous system interprets as threatening? What happens when we're doom scrolling?
When you're doom scrolling, you can't filter out. If you're feeding nothing but negative and doom into your mindset, that's what's going to stay in your mind. That trickles down, affects your nervous system, your physical well-being. You become dysregulated. You're always hypervigilant. You're looking for uh, something to make you feel better. You're constantly on edge, irritable. It affects, well, and that's what we'll get into. It affects everything from your well-being in yourself to how you interact with others around you in the world, at home, at work, etc.
Yes, because I've seen so many examples of people who are literally consumed by
Mhm.
this, and it is a strange phenomena to witness.
Mhm.
So let's talk about what happens when the world feels unsafe. What happens in the body when we're repeatedly exposed to like fear inducing information? Can the nervous system actually distinguish between something we see on the screen and um, something that's happening directly to us? Because it seems like it's one and the same,
Mhm.
a trigger.
Yeah. You can't always distinguish. It's hard to distinguish. If you get so deeply ingrained into, I must watch the next thing, I must know what's going on at all moments because there's going to be a change coming, we can't control any of that, but we take it in as this is our reality we're living in now. It's not happening yet. People are saying it's going to happen. Oh my goodness, I have to watch out. I have to make sure I get all this information. So it's not reality always. It's always hard. So that makes it hard to distinguish. Is it happening right now? Is this going to affect me right now, today? Or is it something I need to prepare for? Or is it just something I'm seeing and they're just trying to get me in this day and age all riled up and upset and entangled and everything going on so that I don't think for myself because I'm relying on what you're telling me is truth.
That's part of it. And that's extremely important because the big word for me here is discernment. You
Hmm.
have to know how to discern what's true and what's not. Because
Yes.
legitimately, some of the information that's coming to you may be true,
Hmm.
but you get to decide how to decipher it and how to act upon it. I think
Right.
that's critical to look at
Hmm.
that. Um, I know for me, I think I have always thought I, I need to keep one toe in what's going on just so I'm aware of what's going on, but not let it take over my life. Because I
Hmm.
have other things to do, and I have things that I'm planning. I'm growing, even in this process, even as the world spins around on its axis with all these negative things happening. But
Hmm.
then again, the news and propaganda and all of that is typically negative. And I think personally, I think it intentionally disrupts our nervous system to keep us on edge so
Hmm.
that the people that are part of the system can continue the process of doing what they do
Hmm.
because dysregulated people are easier to manipulate.
Yes.
That's just my personal feeling.
Mhm.
Um, so, what happens when the body starts anticipating the next threat? How can constant exposure to uncertainty affect our baseline,
Hmm.
Tracy?
So, constant exposure, if we're always on the lookout for the next threat, again, we're always on edge, irritable, waiting. So if you can picture yourself, if you are a doomsday scroller and you're picturing yourself or you're watching someone that you know that does it, pay attention to what's going on in their bodies. They are looking for the next thing. Shh, be quiet. I need to hear this. You might switch to the next station. Back in the day, we had three, four television stations, period, nothing else. And now you can switch to 10 million. I'm exaggerating, but it's close.
Yeah,
Because you can go on YouTube, the internet, everywhere and find this. So you're
all at
constantly
yeah,
on,
all at the
you're
same
constantly feeling
time.
like, I gotta look. You neglect things going on around you. You may not get dressed for the day because you're so busy trying to watch the next thing. Oh, something just happened overnight. Let me watch this. Then I need to
Mhm.
watch this. And then they're talking about it. We just end up getting consumed, hypervigilant, irritable, so dysregulated. Um, we're not ourselves anymore, or who we used to be.
Plus, you get all those little dopamine hits from, from the notifications from your social media, from the little red. Oh my God, I got 9 notifications. Let me see who tagged me or who is engaging with me. And then you get the bells and the whistles oh my God, I have to turn those notifications off sometimes just to have peace. So, Tracy, why might someone feel restless, anxious, irritable, exhausted, or unable to settle even when they're physically safe? Uh oh, I think we've lost Tracy for a moment. Um, Sometimes we genuinely feel anxious and unsafe when as we're doom scrolling because it's no different than being with it's no different than physically being in the room with someone who is actually dysregulating your nervous system. Your body can't has trouble distinguishing the difference between uh, like a regular person, someone right in front of you, and something that you're being triggered by on social media or on some of the news channels or whatever. There's so much information out there right now that literally can take over your entire being if you allow it to. And I don't know if you guys have people in your life who this affects, or maybe it affects you. It's very powerful, and I actually have someone in my life who this is affecting, and I have seen the irritability. I have seen this person on multiple screens at once, deciphering all the information. And, you know, this happens to be a family member. And I have sent other information, maybe things that have to do with joy and happiness. And, take a look at this, because maybe it'll get your mind off of that. But sometimes it doesn't, and this particular individual would just ignore the happy thing and continue the quest for more negativity. It's
Mhm.
extremely challenging. Tracy, I was asking how does someone feel restless, anxious, irritable, and exhausted? How come they can't settle even when they're physically safe?
That adrenaline's going, your stress hormones are going because you're constantly waiting for the next bad piece of news, the next negative piece of news. I must know. I must know. So that makes you restless, anxious, irritable. You're constantly looking. You're not sleeping like you used to. You can be exhausted, even if you are sleeping. If you're taking in information that just stresses you to no end and causes nothing but high anxiety because of all the we all know the news going on today. It's not positive, as Liana said. It's negative. If that's what you're taking in, your body's constantly braced, like literally. Your muscles are tight. Your breathing can be fast. Your heart rate's going faster. This is what kicks in when anxiety increases. That wears your body out. It's almost like you're at the gym on the treadmill all day long, literally. You might be walking a slower pace all day long, but you're tired. It wears you out.
I agree. It just is can be all consuming. And what happens when our nervous
Mhm.
system becomes conditioned to expect bad news?
We're constantly, again, on edge, defensive, waiting for the next thing. I need to stay safe. How do I protect myself? We go into that fight or flight mode. I'm shutting down. I don't want to hear anything else from anybody else. No good news. You know, I don't trust the good news because all this bad stuff is going on. We just shut down and shut out and just constantly look for the next negative thing to happen.
Well, we know that the media constantly does this. I mean, even when I was younger, I always used to wonder, why do they always focus on bad news? How come we can't have any good news? And there's something to that. Why do we retain negativity, negative news, and negative things that happen to us in our lives more so than we retain the positive? Why? What causes
Mhm.
that?
That's that social conditioning. It's easier to share bad things than the good things. It's easier to see the negative than the good. It's easier to trust the negative stuff going on because there's so much of it that we don't see the positive, even when it's right in front of us.
Hmm.
As you said, you can send positive or funny things or good news things to people who are doom scrolling in your life. It's ignored
Yes,
because I don't have time for that.
you're waiting on the next fix.
for that.
Yeah, you're waiting
I
on that
just need to
next
keep
fix.
on edge. I need to be hypervigilant. I need to watch what's happening in the news. I need to know what's going on in my environment.
Yeah, there's a bit of a delay. So basically, we're not just consuming information, our bodies are having an experience with the information that we're consuming. It's extremely challenging. So
Hmm.
let's figure out if you're looking for information, or are you looking for certainty? Are you looking for safety?
Hmm.
Why do we keep checking what's happening now? What's going to happen next? Should I be worried? Is everything going to be okay? What should I do? Sometimes we believe that if we just gather enough information, we'll finally be safe. But
Hmm.
can information actually eliminate uncertainty? Why can getting more information sometimes make us feel worse? What do you think about that, Tracy? Why does getting more
Because
information make us feel worse?
information, we can get overwhelmed with that information. We may not believe information if it's opposite of what we're used to when we get all of the negative doomsday information. Um, so it can make us feel worse. We can feel like we did everything that, because nowadays on all these media channels and the news, they tell us all you need to do is go. I don't want to make this political. Go vote, or all you need to do is call your congressman. You may do all of those things, and guess what? Nothing changes. So we're still going to go back and go, what else can we do? What else can we do? What else is out there? I'm missing something. That didn't work. Nothing changed. So it can make us feel like in a helpless state because we're doing things, but we're not able to create any change that we feel or see. So that can make us, it's like a cycle, make us feel worse.
I I think it's strange how. Tell me what you think about this. When we look at things like we're so used to watching TV, and
Mm-hmm.
like we're caught up in the fantasy of whatever it is we're watching. Um, Sometimes it's not a fantasy because it's real life. But because
Mm-hmm.
we're watching these things, it's almost the same way when we're watching social media or paying attention to the news that's coming through. It's like we're watching and observing, but I feel like that
Mm-hmm.
takes away some of our agency. Like we're not reacting the way maybe we should or we could. I think that really bothers me because I think we get so caught up in the watching and observing of things that we think something out there is supposed to take care of every ailment that crosses
Mm-hmm.
our path. But in
Mm-hmm.
all actuality, it's us. It's our agency and our choices and the things that we do, that we choose to do to either protect ourselves or whatever it may be. But what are your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts on that? Have we become more observant or observers rather than doers, action
But
takers?
kind of, it depends on the situation. But again, we're collecting information. What do we need to do to make this world a better place? What do we need to do to make our homes a better place? What do we need to do to make anything better? Our relationships, how we accept people or don't accept them. We're just wrapped up, and it's hard to get out of that loop of the doomsday. Woe is me. I
Yeah,
can't do anything. We're made to feel helpless. We're made to feel dependent because, subliminal messages come from the news, come from used to be magazines back in the day. Now it's social media. you know,
Oh,
uh,
yes.
used to be newspapers, social media, the internet. So we're getting all these messages. Sometimes they're mixed messages. We don't know what to believe sometimes because somebody always has a different opinion. What do we believe? Let's keep collecting information. You can collect so much information. What are you going to do with that information?
Hmm.
You can get overwhelmed by that. It definitely affects your nervous system.
Yeah, so what's the difference between being informed and being consumed? Because that sounds like we're being consumed by the information itself. That's kind of a scary thing, or it can be.
Mhm. It is scary. It is scary. Um, so, by learning what's going on in the world, if you think about it, if you watch the news in the morning, you're going to see the same thing the next hour. You're going to see the same thing at lunchtime. You may see the same thing in the evening. If you are truly trying to just be informed to find out what's going on in the world and then what can I do about it? How's it affecting me? How can I directly do something? If you're just being informed, you're just checking in. If you're consumed, you can't get away from it. You can't put it down. It's in your life, all of your conversations. Yeah. From what I see of the people that I know, whether they're clients of mine or family members or friends, when you're consumed, you can't even focus on anything else. You only want to know what's next in this situation. What's next? What do I need to know? What do I need to know? And you cannot, being consumed, you can't focus on anything else. You do not want to know anything else. You don't want to do anything else unless it's related to collecting information. Consumed, you're just continuing to collect information
Hmm.
and overwhelm your nervous system. When you're informed, you're just observing, collecting information, and you leave it at that. And you pick it up when you're ready to look at it after you've done many other things in your life for the day. But again, being consumed, you can't do anything except focus on that.
Right.
What's in the news? What are people saying now? What do I need to do? Oh my goodness.
It seems like it can almost become like an addiction. It's an addiction.
Which is like, can be cultish, meaning
Hmm.
I'm only programmed to hear all the negative that's being said. That's like cultish. So I'm not going to call it a cult, but our minds are being hijacked.
So speaking of dysregulated nervous systems, I can
Hmm.
see where that would keep us on edge. Sometimes not being able to sleep, um,
Hmm.
maybe not even being able to eat. It can affect
Hmm.
your whole physical being, your heart rate, your blood
Yes.
pressure. You
Hmm.
know, it's particularly troubling when it affects loved ones or friends, who we deeply
Hmm.
care about, and
Hmm.
it's like we need an intervention. We need to have, where's
Yes.
I, I don't want to say Dr. Phil, but where where are the people that can come in and do the intervention? Because we need help. We need to help this person, kind of pull back from what they've been
Hmm.
consuming and being consumed
Yeah.
by. So literally, information can increase awareness, but it cannot guarantee certainty or safety. And sometimes what we're really trying to regulate through through this information is our discomfort with not knowing what's going to happen. It keeps us on edge.
Mhm.
So, Tracy, let's talk about when fear starts making your decisions for you, because
Mhm.
that happens not only in this situation, but when our nervous systems are dysregulated, period. Uh,
Mhm.
which brings us into the consequences of all this negative information we've been consuming, the the doom
Right.
scrolling, the YouTube videos, the Instagram reels,
Mhm.
TikTok posts. Because when we're activated by what's happening around us, that activation doesn't necessarily stay on our phones. It can start affecting
Mhm.
our actual lives. So let's
Mhm.
explore how fear and uncertainty cause us to make impulsive financial decisions. Let's go there first. How could something that we're seeing in the news make us do that? For example, the stock market going up and down and being manipulated. Sometimes uh,
Mhm.
it keeps us on edge because we've got our 401ks in there, and things like that,
Mhm.
and that can cause us to constantly watch the news. What's going on? What's going to happen with this? Do I need to move it?
Mhm.
Sometimes it makes us abandon plans because the future
Mhm.
suddenly feels really uncertain. Have you
Mhm.
ever had that happen to you?
I've seen it in people around me, or I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes I get the thoughts, let me just take all my money out of, if I listen to everything around me, let me take all my money out of my retirement fund. I'm just gonna go blow it, enjoy my life. When it's gone, the world won't be here anyway. This is where doomsday scrolling and so that would be an example of there's this urge to abandon plans to continue to grow my retirement fund
Yeah.
because the world's not going to be here and they're going to take my social security and they're going to do this and that. Yes, that's a real thing that crosses our minds sometimes. Um, yeah.
Yeah, because I believe in being prepared. I mean, again, that's where that discernment comes in, and
Hmm.
you can be prepared for the future if you're informed. But being informed doesn't
Hmm.
necessarily mean just scrolling and taking all that information in. You've also got to do your due diligence and do the research to see what's really
Hmm.
true and what's not. Because, like I said earlier, there's a lot of propaganda out there to keep you afraid. You know,
Hmm.
you got to know what the best decision for yourself is.
Hmm.
Um, and sometimes, literally, it stops us from pursuing opportunities because we're afraid of what's coming. We
Hmm.
cling to things because change feels too dangerous.
Hmm.
We make major decisions simply because we need the anxiety to stop. And that goes into what we were talking about on one of our shows a couple of weeks ago,
Hmm.
is that we're just looking for safety. We're looking for the off ramp.
Hmm.
You know, um, maybe that next piece of information holds the key to our safety or the answer that we're looking for.
Hmm.
But the deeper question here is, am I responding to what's actually happening, or am I reacting to what I imagine might happen?
Hmm.
And this is where we can connect back to our previous conversation. A dysregulated nervous system wants immediate relief, as we were just
Hmm.
talking.
Hmm.
But sometimes immediate relief isn't always as long term wisdom.
Right.
So again, that's where that discernment comes in.
Hmm.
Fear creates urgency. Oh my
Hmm.
God, what am I going to do? Got to do it now. Got to make a move. whereas regulation creates space for you to make those decisions because that's coming from a place of safety where you're able to breathe and
Hmm.
actually think clearly. Clarity is a treasure
Hmm.
in nervous system regulation.
Hmm.
So let's ask our audience. I want you to actually notice your own relationship with information. So ask yourself, how often am I checking the news? How often am I scrolling for updates? Is it affecting your work? Do you sneak into the bathroom to check out the latest YouTube video on whatever that subject is that you've been consuming? Do you feel calmer after consuming information,
Hmm.
or do you feel more activated? Am I actually learning something useful, or am I looking for reassurance? Do I feel like I have to know what's happening at all times? And what happens in my body when I see a frightening headline? What do you feel? Where do you feel it? Are you even breathing? Am I carrying things that aren't actually happening to me? Can you see yourself in any of those scenarios? So ask yourself this: if I knew I couldn't get certainty about what happens next, what would I need to learn to feel safe within myself? You may not need more information, you may need more capacity to tolerate uncertainty. Think about that one.
Hmm.
So, regulation doesn't mean ignoring reality. Now, this is an important distinction we need to make here because we don't want to turn regulation into spiritual bypassing or avoidance at all. That's not what we're saying. Sometimes things are
Hmm.
serious, and there's serious news we need to pay attention to. Sometimes danger is real. Sometimes action is necessary. And sometimes we absolutely need to pay attention. So, Tracy, does regulation mean pretending that everything's okay?
No, it just means we're creating peace, we're creating safety in our bodies so we can deal with what's going on. It doesn't mean we're pretending everything's okay. You don't have to be at a heightened level of arousal, um, extremely frantic or hysterical to care. You can be calm and care. But a lot of times in our society, we think if you're calm, you don't care, you're not listening. Come on, do something. We want to shake people. You can be regulated and calm and know that things are not okay. It just
Right.
gives you a different space to address what's going on instead of just reacting immediately and maybe not making the best decision in whatever situation it is. When you're calm and regulated, you can look at the situation from a whole new perspective and make a whole different choice.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing with this series is helping people become aware of how they react
Mhm.
to information or to things going on in their lives, how
Mhm.
they react to being in survival mode and being aware that that's even taking place.
Mhm.
Because what we don't know, we're deeply affected by sometimes.
Mhm.
So, what's the difference between healthy concern and nervous system activation? Because I think we can be concerned about something and still be regulated. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't always take us out of a regulated state.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between healthy concern and activation of your
Activation.
nervous system?
Healthy concern means you're maintaining some sense of awareness of what's going on and how it's affecting you. Nervous system activation is I'm just affected. I'm taking off with that energy. It's overwhelming me. It's making me anxious. It's making me tense, aggressive, irritable, whatever the case is, depressed. And we're just going with that activation. There's no awareness. There's no pause in there to go, okay, what's going on? Do I need to be concerned? And you can go from your nervous system being activated, learn how to calm yourself down, and then go to the awareness what's really going on. But you have to be able to get to that place to say you're having healthy concern and not just being activated and out there and overwhelmed or shut down or however you react to it in your nervous system.
How do we stay awake to this information without becoming overwhelmed? I feel like we need to regulate the amount of information we're taking in and the
Mm-hmm.
times, like maybe, and I've been guilty of this, picking up
Mm-hmm.
my phone in the middle of the night when I wake up,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I get on there, and then sometimes I even ask myself, why am I getting on here? There's nothing going on in the middle of the night that I need to know about, that
Mm-hmm.
I legitimately need to take a look at, like right now. Because once you click that phone on and that light hits you, the blue light hits you, it like takes
Mm-hmm.
over. And
It tells your brain, we're awake, we're awake. That
yes,
light tells you
yes,
you're awake. Um,
exactly.
yeah. Unless you're going to get up out of your bed and immediately go outside and do something, you don't need to check your phone in the
Yes,
middle of the night.
I agree. Thank you.
Sleep, get that sleep.
I
Get that
completely
rest.
agree. Does this say? I know this. I'm not the only one that does that. So
Mm-mm.
it's important, you know, figure out when to consume the information
Mm-hmm.
without letting it take over your life.
Yes.
Are there any other things that people can do, Tracy? Do you have any tools that you can recommend for people to be able to do that?
As you're saying, is what I tell the people I work with who are overwhelmed by what's going on politically in the world. Um, Monitor how much you're using it. And then we check in what times are you using it? Set only certain times a day that you're going to check so that you're not on it constantly. And then we talk about how is it affecting you when you are on it? What's your body doing? Are you tense? Are you crying? Are you nervous? Is your mindset going toward the negative and on the downward spiral toward depression and tearfulness? And if so, how do you regulate that? Let's do some, when you catch yourself doing that, just stop, pause, take a deep breath, whatever you need to do, take a walk, interrupt that cycle. But you got to find ways not to be on it all day long.
Right.
So, again, set times, check in with yourself. Am I on it too much? How am I affected right now? What's my body doing? What are my thoughts doing? Okay, I need to pause. I need to take a break. Let me come back in a few hours, or whatever the case is that will help you stay regulated and not feeling like I have to fix everything right now or the whole world's going to end.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, and I find that I have to check myself because I'm a high vibrational person. Now, I don't stay in the positive all the time because that's literally impossible. But I have to check myself because sometimes when I'm like this, trying to balance, you
hmm
know, what I need to know versus what I want to know, um, I have to pull myself back and see myself for what I'm doing and think about how I'm going to change this behavior because I don't like it taking me out of my state,
hmm
my higher energetic state. And I
hmm
find that trying to dip one toe in to the news cycle and keep another toe into the high vibrational place sometimes doesn't work for me. I got to be real
hmm
with myself. So I pull
hmm
back even more.
It's almost like people are trying to get you involved in the gossip. We all know what gossip is. You have to pull back from that and
Hmm.
not let it take over and build like that snowball effect, get bigger and bigger and bigger. Pull back, pull
That's the
back.
key. Yeah. And we have a choice in that. We
We
get
do.
to choose
hmm
what we're going to do and what we're not going to
hmm
do. What, you know, that makes all the difference in the world. So, um, is checking out actually regulation or can it sometimes be avoidance? Like when we just totally check out of uh,
hmm
any type of information, we just cut off cold turkey.
hmm
Is that
It
avoidance
can be.
or is it
It
regulation?
depends. It depends. Um, there's nothing wrong with checking out if you are overwhelmed and you need that pause, that space, that reset so you can get back to what you need to do in your life and enjoy your life. You might need to check out sometimes. We don't need Here's the thing, we don't need to know everything.
All the time. Hmm.
It- and all the time. And I even, I tell my clients in counseling, I don't know everything. I don't pretend to know everything, but I will help you figure out where it is you want to go. Notice how I say where you want to go, not need to go,
Hmm.
and how to get there. Um, Checking out can be avoidance if there really is something out there, as Liana mentioned earlier. Some things do need to be known. Some things do create safety issues. So if we're checking out because we don't want to know anything, that could definitely affect us. We're avoiding knowing what's going on. We do need some information in this lifetime, but we don't need to know everything. And we have to
Exactly.
figure out, when do I need to check out so I can regulate myself? I've got enough information on whatever this topic is that's going on now. And when do I need to re engage? So when you're doing that, you're regulating, you're not avoiding. But if you
Hmm.
just don't want to know anything, and I'll be honest, there are times because I'm around a lot in my home, sometimes I just want to avoid because I don't want to hear it anymore. It's just too much negativity. But
Hmm.
again, that's avoidance in a sense, but I go back to, let me find out this little piece. I don't need to know everything from 12 different people saying the same thing on the news and social media. Let me just find out what I need to know, put that in my back pocket or in my brain, and move on with my day.
That's what I call getting down and dirty real with yourself because you got to be honest with yourself about what you're doing, what you're consuming, what your triggers are, all that stimuli that's coming in all the time. You got to pay attention to
Mm-hmm.
that. And none of us are
Hmm.
perfect. Sometimes we get swept up in it, and it's easy
Right.
to do. But boy,
Yeah.
sweep yourself out of there as quickly as possible. You gotta
Yes.
take.
And I just, yeah. Go
No,
ahead.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just, as you were talking, I just got this vision, collecting all this information, being consumed by information is like hoarding. So we hoard all this stuff, and you can see it in people's homes, stacks of things. Are you going to do anything with it? No. It's just sitting there. It's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Nothing's being done about it. You can liken that to what we're talking about. If you're consumed, you're just collecting all that information. You're not doing anything with it. And it's just sitting there. And the bigger it gets and the more it's hoarded, like those papers in the homes or stuff, the more it's going to affect your nervous system. You're not going to be regulated. You're going to be stressed out all the time. You're going to be irritable. You're always going to feel like you need to do something or get more. And it just consumes you until it's sometimes too late. So just
Yeah,
overwhelmed.
it snowballs into other areas of your life.
Yes.
Have you guys in the audience, do you recognize any of that? How it, overtakes different parts of your life? Because it surely can. I think sometimes we don't even think about that.
Mm-mm.
So, what really is yours to carry? This is
Mhm.
where we can go into agency and sovereignty because this is extremely important. We touched on it a little bit earlier because the world is enormous and our nervous systems aren't designed to personally carry everything that's happening. So let's explore the difference between what is mine,
Mhm.
your attention,
Mhm.
my attention, my body, my choices are mine,
Mhm.
my relationships, my boundaries are mine, my actions are mine, my
Mhm.
preparation is mine, and my response to anything in my life is mine. I own it.
Mhm.
We all own that. But what isn't mine, every headline, every prediction, every
Mhm.
argument, every person's opinion, every global event, the future,
Mhm.
and other people's reactions aren't yours.
Mhm.
Sometimes I know I find myself going through the comments on certain posts just so I can see what take people have on a certain subject. And a
Mhm.
lot of times that'll make me angry.
Mhm.
But there's many, many times I choose not to respond at all. I could just go off the handle. But that's my discipline. Just don't respond because not everything
Mhm.
deserves a response or needs one. That's how I pull myself back from it. My
Mhm.
curiosity takes me there, but I know how to pull myself out of it.
Mhm.
So let's explore, am I responsible to the world, or have I unconsciously decided I'm responsible for the world? That's a big one because those are two completely different things. You can care deeply without carrying everything.
Mhm.
Did you want to touch on anything in there, Tracy? Expand upon it?
Just as you said, you really don't need, we are not responsible for everything in this life. There are things inside of our control, outside of our control. As you said, our reactions, our responses, our relationships, that's what we're responsible for, taking care of ourselves, um, those around us to an extent. Um, you don't have to take on everything. You can't carry everything. When you carry If you keep picking up weight, I keep getting this information. Oh no, this is going on in the world. Oh no, this is, oh no, this. Pretty soon it's going to weigh you down. You're not going to be able to stand up. You're not going to be able to take care of anyone or anything. And many times we hear, if you can't or you don't take care of yourself or you won't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of anyone else?
Agreed.
So,
So now let's bring this into something practical. We're going to explore a simple regulate and rise reset. So, first, notice what is actually happening in me right now. What am I feeling right now? What is my body doing? Am I activated? Have Tracy and I activated you with this conversation? Am I afraid? Am I catastrophizing? Am I compulsively consuming information? If that's you, acknowledge, because it happens to all of us, especially nowadays.
mhm,
And then let's regulate. Before reacting, you can put the phone down, feel your feet on the ground,
mhm,
you can breathe, you can look around the room and orient yourself to where you are. This shifts your whole focus so that you can regulate or move your body. Tracy's good at that with her somatic practices.
mhm.
And give yourself a moment just to come back into the present, to regulate yourself from everything that you've been consuming. And then ask, what is actually mine to do? Not how do I fix everything, but what is my next grounded action? The distinction is awareness, regulation, discernment, and action, not headline, fear, reaction, regret. Because a lot of times those reactions can cause us a lot of regret. The key here is that regulation doesn't remove our agency, it restores it. So now we're at the point where I'm going to ask Tracy to do the closing reflection. But before we get there, feel free to comment or leave any questions, even in the comment section uh,
Mhm.
when this segment is over, because Tracy and I will go back and listen, read those and respond to every one of them. We want to help you through this process. Okay, Tracy, take it away.
Take it away. So, as we do, again, we can't see you. So, do what you need to do to get comfortable, whether you're laying down, sitting down, had your feet up like I did in the recliner. Uh, that's why you saw all that movement, getting comfortable. You can put your hand on your heart and just take some deep breaths, or just notice your breathing, whatever your body's telling you to do. So if you need a deep breath, take one. You just need to notice your breathing. Just do that. Think about everything we just talked about. Think about something happening in the world that has been weighing on you, something that's really getting to you, might be bothering you, might be making you feel a certain way. And then ask yourself, is this something I need to know or something I need to keep checking? Is my nervous system responding to what's actually happening right now in this moment, or to what I fear might happen in the future? Is it happening now? Am I just worried it's going to happen? Notice, what am I carrying that isn't mine to carry? What's my responsibility? What's in my control? What can I give up if it's not mine to carry? I can't do anything about it. Just notice. What would change if I allowed myself to be informed without being consumed? So, something going on in the world that's affecting me. What information do I need? What will help me feel better and regulate more? What will help me feel like I don't have to carry the weight of this because I can't do anything with it. It's not mine to carry. So just allow yourself to think about what would change if you just let yourself be informed without letting it overwhelm you and consume you. And finally, can I allow myself to not know what happens next, to not predict the future, and still trust myself to meet whatever does come? So the goal isn't to stop caring. The goal is not to stop paying attention. The goal is to become regulated enough to remain present in the here and now so that you can then discern, use your discernment, and feel capable in a world that doesn't always feel predictable.
Thank you, Tracy. So just remember, you can be informed without being consumed.
Mhm,
You can care without catastrophizing.
mhm,
You can acknowledge danger without living in constant fear. And you can prepare without panicking.
mhm,
You can stay awake without staying activated. You don't need certainty to have agency. You don't have to disconnect from the world to stay connected to yourself. And perhaps most importantly, the world doesn't have to become calm before you can become grounded.
mhm,
It's a choice. Regulation isn't about escaping reality, it's about becoming resourced enough to meet reality.
mhm.
So be honest. When you consume the news, social media, do you usually feel more informed or more activated? And what's one thing you're carrying right now that may not actually be yours to carry? Maybe you picked it up from somewhere else. So, like I said earlier, please share your experiences in the comments and share this episode with someone you think might need it. Like Tracy and I said, we both know people in our lives who are affected by this very thing, and it affects us as well. You just have to be real with yourself
Mhm.
and take care of your nervous system. You know, it's extremely important, especially in this day and age, to regulate, to breathe, to take time to be with yourself. Whatever that is, even if it's 2 seconds in the morning and, 2 seconds in the evening, and don't pick that phone up when you're in bed, when you're sleeping, like Tracy and I said. So until next time, keep regulating and keep rising. And remember, regulation is the path to liberation. And thank you all for being with us this evening.
Thank you.
See you next week.